Let's talk about Nautilus reels a little bit. Why have you guys chosen to have them in the shop?
Oh man, it's that if you could get Ferraris, wouldn't you get Ferraris if you could afford them and have them? I mean, I'm Jamie Anderson. I'm 44 years old, and I was born right here in Livingston, Montana.
And what fly shop are we in right now?
We are in the Yellowstone Angler. My parents started, actually, he was going to become a partner at Dan Bailey's because he worked at Dan Bailey's for a while. And it came to the point like, hey, let's do this. And Dan decided, well, actually, we're going to hold off. We're not going to do that. So that's when they decided to do their own fly shop. And it was downtown in Livingston, Main Street for quite a while. And they saved the money to buy the land out here and then borrowed money from friends and stuff like that and eventually built out here years later. It first started in 1979 in downtown Livingston. 5 years later, they built out here.
So you've had a fly rod in your hand most of your life, I assume?
I had a little spin rod for a while there. I wanted to play soccer on Saturday and like, no, we're getting up at the Bighorn and we're going to like, fish all day. And I'd be like, oh, okay. So it was more like we were going fishing. Oh, I hated it for a long time because he'd just catch, 30, 40 fish and I would just be tangled with knots. He'd always help me for like my first couple fish. And all right, good, you know how to do this. And like, river rhino wade across the river and like he'd be gone. And I'd be like tangled up in trees, like trying to tie knots. And I did not enjoy fishing for a long time until I got to the point where I could do everything sufficiently. And then by that time I was like helping other people and then guiding. And I kind of got fun about just helping other people fish. Connection with nature. I mean, that's what it's all about, I think. Some days turn into a beer day because it's not on. Some days it's really on and you catch a big fish and you think, oh man, I'll row the rest of the day because that, I just caught a 23 incher. That's the day you should keep fishing as hard as you can because you might get a 30 incher. So whenever it is good, you should really put the time in hard and fish hard and, go with the people that are in the same mindset because someone might be learning or just want to see eagles or look for rocks. So. And if it's that kind of day, it's that kind of day, which I kind of like because it's zero pressure. Let's go see some birds, find some fossilized wood, swing a few runs. If we catch nothing, of course we caught nothing. To some degree, like you could have a pretty bad situation, what's going on. I mean, life throws a lot of things at you, but like when I go fishing, it's like you got hope. You're not going to catch a 25-inch brown, of course not, but you hope you're gonna. And there's this little feeling of hope that like in a hopeless world where even at the end of the day, if you don't catch anything, for a while there, you were distracted and concentrating and having fun and, maybe cussed a little bit if you lost your flies or this or that. But I think hope's a fun thing about fishing. There's definitely some benefits that don't have anything to do with fishing that brings people together. So you feel good about part of that, but definitely the fish and the overcrowding and the Madison's going through stuff like that right now with permits. Things are going to have to change and be permitted just so we don't love it to death. If the river doesn't have enough water and it's ruined, or if there's just way too many guides out there, ruined. So I think we got to be careful and responsible as fly shop owners not to be so greedy, like, oh yeah, let's just keep this ball rolling.
Let's talk about Nautilus reels a little bit. Why have you guys chosen to have them in the shop?
Oh man, it's that if you could get Ferraris, wouldn't you get Ferraris if you could afford them and have them? I mean, being a monster dealer, I never really looked at it like, oh, we really want to strive to become a monster dealer. I never really thought about it like that. We just want to be a Nautilus dealer and sell them because we do some of the very best reels out there. I think it was John Dobson who brought the FWX by like maybe 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And I remember it was like $295 and it was like already like one of the best reels at that price category. And we were like, wow, this is like, are you sure this is $295? Because it was a good reel. And then after that, we started seeing the introduction of the NVGs and then later CCFX2. And every time it was like a different reel, maybe a little different sound, different drag. I mean, everything just kept getting cooler and cooler and cooler. But that was a cool thing. It was like even the FWX had a drag that was like ready for saltwater. Because I mean, everyone assumed they were freshwater reels because of the size, and they had a 7/8, but that drag was still good for bonefish. And the X now, like a lot of people use those for saltwater use. The XL, the XL Max, guides love that reel for their day off because it's so light and nice to cast, but it has enough power to stop a big, redfish or snook. It is a confidence builder. And same with flies. Like, you know how you have this one fly that you know is going to work well, and it probably would just be the same as a different fly, but you just have a little confidence in it, and so you fish a little bit better. And I think that Nautilus reels give you that edge where you're like, you know what, I got this covered. We got one guide who says, Paulson will say, hey, when we catch one, that's a we deal. But when we lose one, that's a you deal. And if you got a Nautilus, you're already, 90% of the way there. People are definitely looking for Nautilus and fly shops because it's one of the few spots you can get them. I mean, it's a very roots up thing. So the guys who are in the shop and the guys who are talking to them and who are fishing every day after work or at lunch, people can kind of feel that. Like if people are disconnected and not fishing as hard, they can feel that too. Like, hey, where should I go? And you're like, I don't know, Canada. But if you're like, yeah, we were out there last night. They were eating this, they were eating that. By the way, what are you fishing? Like, what rod do you like right now? It's kind of just a fun way to banter and talk about fishing. And then also what they like here, you do need 6.5X if you're going to the spring creeks, even though it's like really 6.5, I don't need like 6.25X, but it does make a little difference. And there are things that you pick up from the fly shop that would help you be more successful. We really push the brand because we really believe in it. So to us, just being able to have Nautilus and sell them and feel good to, okay, I just got you set up with a Nautilus. I know it's going to perform well for you. It's going to last forever. You're going to hand it down to your kids. Like, it's been more about just the quality of production, having a great reel. And then there are some perks to, being a monster dealer too with, just the way that the business is set up that maybe dealers, a bigger dealer, monster dealer would get some reels first, or, there's some new things coming up that will make a little bit of a difference, but it's more icing on the cake than, striving to be where we're at.
Do you have any final words you want to say about, Nautilus, the Yellowstone River, Yellowstone Angler, any of that stuff?
Does Kristen like hot food?